Hello, Earthlings. Welcome to First Contact Radio. How you doing today? Let's jump into our cosmic weather. Get things started. Solar wind, 365.4 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index has gone down to a 2 and expected to be no higher than a 4 within the next 24 hours. It was expected to be higher, a 5 the other day. So we've gone down a little bit as things are settling. Our chance of flares are very low, only about a 1% chance that we're going to have an M-class or an X-class flare. However, this chance of a geomagnetic storm is up there, 40% chance in mid-latitudes, 50% in the higher latitudes. So if you got a camera, get it ready. You might get some interesting shots. And then, of course, we have this notice here. The sun is quiet, as just reflected by what I read. No sunspot activity flaring. The sun's output is flatlined again. NOAA forecasters put the chance of an M-class flare during the next 24 hours at no more than 1% chance. Alright, now, from there, let's take a look at what's going on with the planets and the stars. Our sun, which is our conscious mind, is in the sign of Aquarius for a few more days yet. And so we're dealing with the astrological or the element of water. And the moon sign, which is our unconscious, yesterday was in Sagittarius, and now it's moving, and it's in between. You can see here, from Sagittarius to Capricorn, so it's in between the two phases. That's where we are today as we're making the switch from the element of fire to earth. Fire to earth. So just think of how those elements affect what's going on with you in your life and how you use those energies. Fire is like ideas, earth are things that we create and produce. Water is like love, emotions, things that flow. And if we look at just at the elements and how they affect our lives, it makes a big difference in how we're using that energy. And now the moon today is 29% full. It's making its way down to a new moon. And on the dream spell, we're at a 3-day. You can see we've moved along to the third position here in the dream spell, in the wave spell, excuse me. And the phrase for today is I seal the matrix of self-generation. I activate in order to catalyze bonding energy. I seal the matrix of self-generation with the electric tone of service. I am guided by the power of abundance. This is the guide here. This brings the abundance. This here is the storm. The storm is our kin for today. It's called our day kin, and supported by the moon, the wind, and the sun. Alright, and you can see the moon, the wind, and the sun where they all are within this grid here. They all play a part in what's going on. And today on the Gregorian calendar, it is Thursday, February 16th, 2012. So there you have it. That's our cosmic weather for today. Starting off, I thought we'd start off with an interesting Pleiadian message. This is a really cool book. If you have not had a chance to read this book, I suggest that you do. I'm going to play the first section of it. It's the Earth Pleiadian Keys to the Living Library. This is a narration of the book. But if you get a chance, pick up this book and read it. It's an awesome read and really helps you to understand some things that are important about life. Alright, here we go. I'm going to play this. I'll be back.
Greetings, dear friends. We are here. It is our intention to assist you in creating a new vision, a vision that inspires you to live and love on planet Earth. Like a priceless jewel buried in dark layers of soil and stone, Earth radiates her brilliant beauty into the caverns of space and time. We ask you, as seekers of the great stories, to proclaim an allegiance to Earth. Pledge the transformation of yourselves, which is the journey through light and dark, and honor Earth's momentous role in setting you free. Your task at this point in time is to activate the living library of Earth, to restore Earth and the human version of life to the forefront of creation. This is the journey you are on. We ask each of you to open your mind and heart for within your body and Earth herself lie the answers to the great mysteries you seek. Although we appear to exist from without as a collective of Pleiadian energies calling to you from the future, we also exist within you. We are your ancestors existing within you as well as without. We are you on the golden spirals of time, cycling the epochs of existence, calling to you yourselves to reconsider all you thought holy. We ask you to reevaluate the purpose of your life, to redefine the forces that rule you, to resurrect the codes of consciousness stored in your being. It is time for you to reclaim your knowledge as a creator through thought, to recall the purpose of the living library of Earth, to restore beauty through value of life, and to remember who you are. Journey with us now through the mysteries of your world. Picture yourself on an excursion through the image of 12 and lay the concept of 12 out in your mind. Imagine yourself experiencing the numerical symbols of 1 through 12, as in the 12 months of a calendar, the 12 movements through the signs of the zodiac, or the 12 hours around the clock. And then add to these symbols your own personal avenue of 12. Imagine you have 12 strands of DNA, and that these activate and connect to your 12 chakras, which are energy doorways through which you access your spiritual heritage. Herein lies a key. Your challenge is to know yourself through your imagination, accessing your inner networks and bulletin boards of reality, which are invisible to your naked eye. We are here for the game, the codes, and the master numbers. Our ancestors created events that presently stifle our development on the Pleiades, and as Pleiadians, we are seeking to discover the solutions to this grand dilemma, a predicament that you share with us. Our ancestors came from a universe that had completed itself and understood universally that it was Prime Creator, as the journey of Prime Creator in time. They came from a universe that had discovered its essence, creativity. By discovering that essence, they found out that they were creators. They came into the Pleiades because that star system would someday be able to help you at a most challenging time, a time when you would be ready to reconnect with Prime Creator. Our ancestors are also your ancestors. They gave their DNA to the original planners, and this DNA became part of the DNA of the human species. The plan was to create an intergalactic exchange center of information within your planet Earth. It was an extraordinary plan involving a beautiful place, for Earth is located on the fringe of one galactic system and is easily reached from other galaxies. It is our intention to assist you in coming to a greater understanding of the Pleiadian experiments that have been influencing Earth. During times of chaos and confusion, times when the human species was suppressed, various factions from our home system came to different locations around your planet and made very subtle openings. They worked with small clusters of consciousness to leave a glimmer of energy upon your planet. For many in the cosmos knew your planet was headed towards tremendous calamity and great suppression. Earth is in dire straits at this time, there is no doubt about it. Yet great opportunity lies within this state of confusion. We applaud your intentions and honor each of you for choosing yourself to go into the unknown. We honor you for being willing to look at the portions of yourself, female and male, that for all practical purposes you have not understood at all. It is time for each of you to be noticed in your own way, to magnify energies as they pass through you, and to make these energies available to multitudes of others as you casually pull light rays into your body and onto Earth. There are many families of consciousness that cluster together based upon evolution, intent, and a particular plan. The family of light to which you belong comes from such a lineage of consciousness. The family of light is a collection of entities coded to bring information to this planet. The coding is inside each individual. Once you are able to question and see beyond the current interpretation of reality, you are guided to create thought forms to fire the codings in others. Members of the family of light are able to integrate and survive reality shifts without destroying the bodies or life forces they occupy. As a member of the family of light, the ability to change reality exists innately inside you. You must create the belief system whereby you can do this, because your mind is structured to evolve and form your experience based on what you command, no matter what paradigm platform you spring from. The family of light acts as a stabilizing factor for dimensional shifts, and its members serve as carriers of a frequency being used to awaken many. Members of the family of light have pushed themselves past the laws of third-dimensional reality through to another dimension, so to speak, by uncovering the coding inside themselves. Many of you may have the feeling that you have done this before. You have. You lost your memory of this process because you came here to operate under the same laws as everyone else. When you incarnated into the Earth plane, you received certain matched and paired recessive genes holding light codes that gave you the highest opportunity to develop psychic and intuitive abilities. In addition, these genes carried some memory that separated you from others, even though you could not name it. With these powers and talents, it has been your task to build on your life and allow the momentum to lead you into something different than most humans. As an extensive mutation occurs on the inside of humans, also stimulated from the outside by those who are assisting you in this genetic upliftment, you must act and integrate what is awakening within you. It's time for you to make a commitment to create joy, creativity, and love for yourself. Only then will you benefit others, for if you do not evolve yourself, you do not serve others. Humans are considered by some in this universe to be priceless, though in actuality you yourselves have no idea of the value stored in the human body. Your human body is the most valuable thing you will ever own and encounter. You are priceless. Your language is encoded, and sounds create reflected images that stimulate and structure consciousness. Spoken words carry different vibrations than written words. We like to play with both forms of language. When we speak, our intonation has its own signature to it, and we use subtle variances with emphasis on particular sounds. When you come into our vibration, you are getting many, many instructions, triggering layers and layers of knowledge.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is the UFO news for today. I got 6 stories today. 6 stories. First story comes to us is from Beijing, China. And what we've got 2 sightings that are being compared. One that you're going to see here on the left, this upper one here. This took place on the 1st of January, and this is where they saw a humanoid floating through the sky, and then here, same thing, but it was on another day, about a week later, 5 days later. Alright, so let's check it out, see what's going on here. The images are real small, so you may not see them so clear here. However, the links are available, so you can go ahead and click on the links, enlarge the image. Alright, let me fast forward here a little bit. Alright, as we go, there you can start to see the image here. Right there. And it gets a little closer. Alright. So we've all seen this kind of object just kind of hanging in the sky. Helicopters don't do that or look that way. All right. So that's object number one. That's from Beijing, China. Now, the next story comes to us from Utah. Palmyra, Utah, on Valentine's Day. Witness report from my apartment window overlooking southwest Utah County observed two orange-yellow fireballs about 5 minutes apart slowly ascending in the sky. My girlfriend and I observed the same type of object a few days ago, previously about 40 miles away in West Valley City. Both fireballs seemed to originate from close to ground level, starting above the city of Palmyra, Utah. They ascended gradually in the air at roughly 35-degree angle. I'm guessing the objects were 10 to 20 feet in diameter. The first object headed due north and reached an altitude of approximately 10 to 15,000 feet, slightly higher than half the altitude of commercial jets that frequently fly above the path of these two objects. After approximately 2 minutes, I lost sight of the first object as it passed behind a few yards from my balcony. The second object seemed to arise from the same area, traveling somewhat northeast, flew for about 3/4 of the distance as the first object, but abruptly faded and vanished. I would estimate their speed to be faster than a twin-engine plane or transport military helicopter, but traveled about as fast as the Life Flight helicopter, which frequently flies in the same area from Utah Valley Regional. Alright, so let's see what was recorded here. See with our own eyes what was seen by the viewer. Alright. Alright, there's the object in question. Alright. There we go. We've seen this many a times. The old glowing light that appears and disappears. Alright, there it is again. Alright, very good. Moving right along. This one is also from latest-UFO-sightings.net. Alien base interest appears then vanishes. 2012. A man named Red Elk is one of the only people alive known to have ever seen the mysterious hole. A Native American shaman or medicine man, Red Elk said his dad first showed him the hole in 1961. He said, "This is an endless hole," Red Elk said. Red Elk's been back many times and said strange things happen every time he goes near it. People get it confused with what I call the Devil's Hole, he said. Many locals claim to know about the hole, but it didn't become phenomena until 1997 when Mel Waters went on the Coast to Coast show with Art Bell. I brought the dogs with me, Waters said on the show. They wouldn't go anywhere near the damn thing. Waters said the hole had a 3-foot stone wall around it. It seemed bottomless to him, so he used an old shark fisherman's trick, sending thousands of feet of fishing line down. What I did was I sent down a roll of lifesavers, he said, so when it hit water, the lifesavers would dissolve. But the lifesavers came back up whole, no water. So how deep was the hole? Waters said he believed it descended miles into the earth, and he heard strange stories about its powers. One guy claims that he threw his departed canine down into the hole. He said he swears the dog actually came back to him. Red Elk said it was when the waters went public that the trouble began. Now I'm going public on this, and that could land me in a pile of junk, he said. Red Elk claims that the government has a secret base there, an underground base, a very small underground base, he said. That's how Red Elk explains the white boxes covering the area on some satellite images. He said he's also seen alien activity in the area. A huge spacecraft, one will appear and hover over the hole, he said. That's what he said happens during summer solstice when spacemen load and unload things at the bottom of the hole before flying away. All right, here we have, if you want to listen to it, the interview with Red Elk. Next story here. This is more about the strange metal boxes that says UFO-inspired metal boxes still vex experts while someone is taking the boxes away. There are many theories about strange metal boxes that started appearing along Oregon and West Coast beaches last week. Well, February 15th brings new but vague answers. In a world where people see lots of strange things on the internet every day, something is as interesting as and unusual as these strange metal boxes has produced both suspicion and an unruly feeling of disorientation in people who can't figure out what the boxes are or where they came from. In turn, those who both viewed and touched the grouping of the boxes at the Florence beach February 15th gave the boxes a sort of suspicious sideways squint. The boxes first surfaced as the story of Chinook last week after local UFO fans relating recent sightings at the nearby Stonefield Beach. These UFO fans then pointed to strange metal boxes that were revealed after a recent UFO sightings. They said the boxes appeared out of the blue, while other locals simply said the boxes have the makings of yet more UFO lore, with people either believing or not believing. However, the metal boxes by themselves are something that is very real. So real, in fact, that William Handshake, a PhD in marine education and a member of the Oregon Sea Grant faculty at the nearby Hatfield Marine Science Center in Newport, has been investigating the boxes for the past week. As of February 15th, Dr. Hans Schumacher still doesn't have a clue what the boxes are. Meanwhile, his marine science expert has passed around photos of the boxes that are reported up and down West Coast beaches and said there are no consensus as to what the boxes are. Sure, there's been speculation that these strange metal boxes are possibly docking pieces from oyster farms over in Japan that broke apart after the March 2011 earthquake and tsunami that slammed West Coast beaches. But how could something as huge as these boxes travel almost 5,000 miles across the Pacific from Japan to Oregon coastal beaches? Moreover, Dr. Hans Schumacher noted that the boxes would have barnacles underneath if they were floating out in the Pacific. However, 7 boxes were examined at local beaches near Florence, and they're clean all around, with no barnacles, but a sort of membrane film that can't be scraped off that covers each of the remaining boxes. In turn, locals at nearby Stonefield Beach and Bray Point, who first notices the boxes after a late evening UFO sighting February 5th with boxes up and down the beach in the morning of the 6th, says a Bray Point local named Errol. Due to a lot of local and even international interest in the nature of these strange boxes, the local Florence Police Department was contacted officially February 15th. In turn, a police department spokesperson named Sarah told Chinook in an interview that we have not received any reports or complaints about these boxes. Moreover, Sarah stated that the beaches or the Oregon coast is considered a state highway, and state police have jurisdiction over what's on the beach. In turn, the Oregon, Washington, and California state police were also contacted, and each department reported no actions being taken to investigate the boxes. However, police officials did state that it's illegal for people to take things from coastal beaches, even when it's common for locals and visitors to take pieces of driftwood. At the same time, boxes were seen being moved by a number of white trucks with heavy chains, and upwards of 4 to 6 people seen pushing and loading these strange metal boxes into white trucks. One local Florence couple, who stopped to examine one huge metal box on February 15th, Chinook interviewed that it sure looks unusual. Also, the couple said that they were drawn to the box and it felt warm like nothing they ever felt before. Feel me, touch me, see me. Seems like something these boxes might be saying to us, quipped local UFO watcher Errol when taking more than 100 images of the group of these metal boxes near his Bray Point's beach home February 15th. I want to document these before someone runs off with our 3 boxes down the beach here, he added with a vividly inventive mind that seemed both self-confident and worried. Errol then noted with the demeanor of a very capable head football coach that what we have here is a failure to communicate. We shared our story about UFO sightings and nobody ever believed that, and when we told you about these boxes' appearance and everyone seemed interested. Well, there's more to the story. You can go ahead and read that, but again, no clear-cut decision on what these boxes are. Now, NASA has a robot that's ready to go out in space. Robonaut's first handshake with astronaut in space. A NASA robot was built to ease the daily lives of astronaut in space. Greeted its human commander with a hearty handshake Wednesday along with silent message, "Hello world." The historic handshake between man and machine, first in space, was shared between NASA's humanoid robot named Robonaut 2 and American astronaut Daniel Burbank on the International Space Station. For the record, it was a firm handshake, Burbank said in a NASA video marking the event. "Very nice. Nice job on the programming and all the engineering. Quite an impressive robot." After the handshake, Robonaut 2 used its dexterous hands to say "Hello World" in American Sign Language. The message is a traditional programming phase that was also the first greeting sent out over Robonaut 2's Twitter account at Robonaut, NASA officials said in a statement. Alright, so there you go. Robonaut. Can anybody say C-3PO? I think we're moving forward into the Star Wars age, closer and closer every day. And our very last story here, UFO sighting. Chinook helicopter airlifts a UFO. Alright, Arizona footage of a Boeing CH-47 Chinook airlifts a craft resembling an alien disc. Look carefully at the disc-like object, which appears to have its landing gear down. The Chinook has a 50-foot long fuselage. The UFO, however, looks to be longer, at about 53 feet. Since the Chinook can carry 33 passengers, not including the pilots, then this UFO would be able to carry more, since it would be a 53 feet in all directions rather than one direction like the helicopter. Alright, let's take a look at this here. Alright, there we go. There's the object in question. A Chinook, and obviously a craft of some sort, experimental craft perhaps, or a UFO. I don't know exactly what they've got going on here, but this was a Chinook carrying a craft in Arizona. Alright, there you have it. There's our UFO news for today. Very exciting. Something to think about. All the links are available so you can read the stories further. That's it. I'm going to jump to a song. I'll be back momentarily. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, what they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right, continuing right along. Continuing along here. Our next story here is a story that comes to us from InfoWars. It's a interview that was done. I'm going to play part of this interview, not the full thing, but this is Adam Kokesh. You may know him from RT and his show Adam and the Man. Well, he is one of the organizers of this rally that's going to be taking place in Washington, D.C. next week. I want you to know about it. It's a rally for Ron Paul, and it's being conducted by veterans and active duty military. So check this out. I'm only going to play a part of this, and I'll be back.
We are back from break. Of course, as you know, the whole media portrayal has always been that supporting the troops means supporting any neocon candidate who's ready for another war, supporting anyone who will always go for more empire overseas. But the reality is that the majority of donators to politicians in the military donate to Ron Paul, and there's a reason for that. Joining us now to talk about that and an event to support Ron Paul, specifically with people in the military, I guess active and former, is Adam Kokesh, himself a former serviceman and the head of AdamVersusTheMan.com. Thanks for joining us, Adam.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity to promote this event because it really is such a key one to reaching out to active duty troops and the veterans community with the message of freedom and making sure that they all get what Ron Paul stands for.
Well, I think it's a very important thing to break the misconception and the media spin and delusion and mind control that they've been doing at least since 9/11 with the yellow ribbons and the supporting the troops, all the American flags, that somehow this is okay because it's in the name of the troops.
Absolutely. And this event was really inspired by the suppression of the voice of the active duty because this inconvenient fact about Ron Paul, that he's gotten more campaign contributions from active duty service members than all other candidates, including Obama combined, is just doing such a disservice to all of those active duty troops who donated, who wanted to hear their voices heard. And so we're making sure that that message gets out with the Ron Paul is the choice of the troops march and rally in Washington, D.C. on President's Day. This is really exciting. It's coming up on Monday. We're going to be rallying at noon at the Monument, marching to the White House in formation, and everybody in that formation will be required to present a proof of service in order to be a part of this event. We're going to do our dress right dress and be right there in front of the White House before we do an about face and a symbolic gesture of repudiation of our president's foreign policy. We are going to turn our backs to the White House, and we're going to hold a flag folding ceremony and have a folded American flag as you would at a soldier's funeral, and render a hand salute and hold it for as many seconds as troops have died since Obama took office, both abroad and by suicide, and then march back to the Washington Monument. So we're very excited to be creating this visual. We're very excited for the opportunity to show that that parallel is there in the veterans community as there is among the active duty for this. But also, I'm really excited to be providing an opportunity for active duty troops to be talking amongst each other, to be reaching out to each other with this message about questioning our current foreign policy. And it's such a disgrace that military regulations are set up in such a way that the voices of the troops aren't allowed to be heard unless they're serving as props for the president when he gets off Marine One, or when Ben Bernanke wants to use the troops at Fort Hood as backdrop for his speech about his economic shenanigans about what he's doing with the Federal Reserve. I mean, it's disgusting to see how disrespected the troops are in reality compared to the rhetoric, compared to the yellow ribbons. And so
yeah, they're all supposed to shut up, but presidents who didn't even serve or who did monkey service where they were on paper serving but didn't even really show up for training or anything, they're supposed to speak for what we're doing.
Ron, and even among those token veterans, those who joined the Texas Air National Guard or whatever the case was, simply to be able to check that box, they're all out of the race now. There is only one person running for president in the Republican primary who has ever worn the uniform, and that's Ron Paul. But more importantly, the message here is not that the troops support Ron Paul despite his foreign policy. It's not like they're going, well, we like the constitutional thing and that he's a veteran and the integrity. Those are side benefits. Those are side benefits to the foreign policy. because we want a commander-in-chief, and it shouldn't be any surprise to anybody that those of us who are willing to put our lives on the line to defend this country want a commander-in-chief who's going to be decisive. And when you ask Ron Paul questions about foreign policy, you know he's got the answers. You know he knows how his principles are applied. We want a commander-in-chief who's going to put America's security first, not Israel's, not Afghanistan's, not Iraq's. We want a commander-in-chief who is going to only send the troops in a harm's way with a clear mission and a clear moral imperative, or as Dr. Paul would call it, a constitutional declaration of war. But what's even more exciting to see is that although the troops are being brought to support Ron Paul by his foreign policy message, because we are, as a subculture, not all that different from the rest of the country. We are still creatures of pragmatism too. But when you're looking at this political debate and going, well, is there going to be 100,000 troops or 130,000 troops in Afghanistan? Do I want to be the 130,000th guy that deploys just to die for a politician's mistake? You know, that's the kind of question the troops are asking. When you have your life on the line, you're really motivated to find out what a better foreign policy might be. And they're coming to this message, but they're really coming to it because of the foreign policy, because they don't want to be the last person to die for a mistake or for a lie or for a foreign policy.
For a mistake, Adam, you talk about making clear decisions. Do you remember the presentation where they said the key to winning Afghanistan is deciphering this map with hundreds of points, with terrorism interconnected with the drug smuggling, with the troops not even knowing what side they're working on, all these things? How can we fight a war that way, even if it is just?
Well, when you're out in the field every day, I mean, I can tell you, and you're risking your life every day, and something strikes you funny, you know, and you go, wait a second, maybe we shouldn't be here. Maybe we're creating enemies faster than we can kill them. It really propels you to go all the way down the rabbit hole. And when the troops hear Ron Paul's foreign policy message, and they hear the principles behind it, the golden rule being applied to our foreign policy, as Ron Paul was famously booed for at the debate in South Carolina, they see the same thing in terms of domestic policy. And they're more compelled than the average American, who might be getting along happy-go-lucky every day, to speak out, to question things. But they're up against the establishment within the military and what they perceive through the mainstream media as an effort to silence such voices of dissent. And we're bringing them out to celebrate them with this event. And like I said, we've got an incredible response. But now we've got over 1,600 RSVP'd on our Facebook event page. And, you know, if that comes out to 500 in our actual formation of veterans and active duty troops, that would be incredible. And the visual would be epic and create something that the mainstream media would really have a hard time denying. But more importantly, we've gotten some last-minute support here, and it's exciting to see. We've got some angels coming in with some big donations to get behind some radio ads. We haven't been able to raise that much money independently, but for those of you who are listening who can't be there, who want to be there in spirit, I would ask that you be there with your wallet as well. And check out adamversustheman.com/VFRP, Veterans for Ron Paul. Donate if you can, but if not, if you just want to get active and help out with this most important cause, get on the phone, get on Facebook, get on your email, get in contact with every active duty soldier and veteran you know that's in driving distance from D.C. tonight. Get on the phone, call them. Tell them if they do one thing for you today, if they do one thing for you this year, if they do one thing outside of the military to serve this country, this is it, because their country still needs them. We still need to hear the voices of the veterans, the voices of the active duty troops. We need to grab the rest of the Republican base by the collar and say, wake up. This is not a conservative foreign policy. Ron Paul is the choice of the troops. And we're timing this just so that we have a chance to have an impact for Super Tuesday, which is 2 weeks from next Tuesday. So we're really hoping that this can be a fundamental...
Well, that's the other thing, Adam, is...
All right, very good. So I'm going to leave the rest to you to listen to. There's still about 7 minutes of this one. There is a part 2. So check it up. Follow up on this, my friends. This is an important event. It's good to see he's out there. Good job, Adam. And, you know, we'll keep reporting on what's going on. All right, next, right here. Ron Paul is secretly taking over the GOP, and it's driving people insane. That's right, it sure is. By now it's clear that the Maine caucuses were a complete mess. Evidence is mounting that Mitt Romney's 194-vote victory over Ron Paul was prematurely announced, if not totally wrong. Washington County canceled their caucus on Saturday on account of 3 inches of snow, hardly a blizzard by Maine standards, and other towns that scheduled their caucuses for this week have been left out of the vote count. Now, it looks like caucuses that did take place before February 11th also have been left out of the final tally. As of the full extent of the chaos unfolds, sources close to Paul campaign tell Business Insider that it's looking increasingly like Romney's team might have had a hand in denying Paul votes, noting that Romney has some admiralty ruthless operatives on his side and a powerful incentive to avoid a 5th caucus loss this month. According to the Paul campaign, the Maine Republican Party is severely underreporting Paul's results, and Romney isn't getting the same treatment. For example, nearly all the towns in Waldo County, a Ron Paul stronghold, held their caucuses on February 4th, but the state GOP reported no results on these towns. In Waterville, a college town in central Maine, results were reported but not included in the party vote count. Paul beat Romney 21-5 there, according to Kennebec County GOP. It's too common, senior advisor Doug Weeds told Business Insider. If it was chaos, we would expect strong Romney counties to be underreported, but that's not what's happening. The Maine Republican Party won't decide which votes it will count until the executive committee meets next month. But Weed points out that even if Romney holds on to a slim lead, it will be a Pyrrhic victory. He will have disenfranchised all of these people, Weed said. It could be a costly victory. It is a mistake. The alleged bias against Paul may also be the product of an organic opposition to the Libertarian congressman and his army of ardent fans. Paul volunteers tend to be young and relatively new to party politics, and their presence has many state GOP stalwarts feeling territorial. All right, I'm going to leave the article for you to continue on with, but this is all good news. And yes, this is what is going on. Ron Paul supporters are strong supporters. They're youthful. And look at this. We got a president candidate now. He has to resort to cheating. Romney has to resort to cheating now, huh? Is that what we've come down to, folks? Don't we deserve a president better than that? Someone who's not going to cheat to get in office? Because if he has to cheat to get in office, maybe he's not the right guy for the job. Maybe he's not. All right. This is a little bit more information talking about the discussions that took place over there in the votes in Maine. So let's check it out. Listen to what this report has to say.
Narrative heading into Maine, right? What's happened to Mitt Romney? How can he be losing gimme states like this? That was the narrative of the overall race coming out of last week. And the next contest was Maine, where if you're Mitt Romney, there was a real risk that that narrative about you being an unexpected loser, that narrative is not only going to continue, it's going to get worse.
There's some other good news, too, and it's an ongoing caucus, and it's over on the East Coast. I think it's the state called Maine.
Whatever you think about the Ron Paul campaign and its tactics and its prospects, its goals, the Ron Paul campaign has resources, and they have taken Maine very seriously. And the prospect that Mitt Romney might lose in Maine to Ron Paul would be a devastating next chapter in what was the bad Romney narrative heading into Maine. The bad Romney narrative that he wasn't winning in places that he ought to be winning. Mitt Romney really had to win Maine. And the Republican Party in Maine this weekend said that he did. I don't think he did. I'm not saying that somebody else won. I'm saying that there is no rational and mathematical basis on which the Maine Republican Party can have concluded that Mitt Romney won there. The results there are not complete yet, and the margin of victory for Mitt Romney is really, really slim. And when you have incomplete results and a really slim margin, that means you're not supposed to call it until you know all of the results. Ask Iowa. Here's a microcosm of the problem. This is what happened in Waldo County, Maine. If you want a picture of where we're talking about, here's the great state of Maine, and here is Waldo County, Maine, right? In Waldo County is a town called Belfast, Maine, as in Northern Ireland, but here in America, Belfast, Maine. Local newspaper there talked to the guy who ran the Republican caucus in the town of Belfast. He told them that he personally called in the town of Belfast's caucus results to the state Republican Party. But when he called the state Republican Party to report how Belfast had voted, the state Republican Party told him over the phone, oh, actually, they already had those numbers. Really? but I'm the guy who's calling you to report what those numbers are. You say you already have numbers? What do you have? Quoting from the local paper, when the woman on the phone read those tallies back, the Belfast chairman said they showed Romney winning in Belfast, which he knew was not the case. Mitt Romney did not win Belfast. Ron Paul won Belfast, but the state Republican Party planned to give Belfast to Mitt Romney anyway. When Belfast complained about that, the Belfast chairman was told by the state party, quote, "Oh, I'll be sure those numbers are changed." So, did the final tally from Belfast, Maine show Ron Paul winning Belfast, which in fact Belfast says is what happened? No, the numbers did not say that. Here's what they showed. 0. As in 0 votes cast for anybody. And it's not like, oh, that's what they showed that night at the caucuses erroneously, but it's been resolved since. Now they have the real tally. No, this is still what it says, according to the state Republican Party. And it's not just Belfast. 17 of the 18 towns that caucused together in Waldo County turned up blank on the official Maine Republican Party tallies. The state Republican Party has no explanation of why that is, other than to say it was maybe a clerical error. A clerical error they have not corrected. We contacted the Maine Republican Party again today to find out why almost an entire county had their votes erased with essentially no explanation of why. We again have heard nothing back from Maine Republicans. Washington County, up in the northeast part of the state, says that they notified the state Republican Party that they were going to hold their caucuses a week late because of an expected snowstorm. They say they were told by the state party that would not affect their vote being counted by the state party. Now they're being told that no matter how they vote this upcoming weekend, it's a done deal. Their vote's not going to be counted no matter what it is. The town of Waterville, Maine, in Kennebec County, they voted for Ron Paul over Mitt Romney as well. And yet they, too, are recorded as a 0 in the Republican Party's official results from the state. Again, the margin of victory for Mitt Romney in Maine is only reported to be 194 votes. These anecdotal local precinct screw-ups are exactly the kinds of things that were reported in Iowa after Iowa declared that Mitt Romney was the winner there. And remember, the Iowa Republican Party chairman at the time dismissed all of those reports and said, those little typos won't change the outcome of Iowa's vote. Ultimately, the outcome of Iowa's vote was affected by those discrepancies, and Iowa had to reverse its results, and the Republican Party chairman in Iowa is now out of a job. So far in Maine, specifically on that issue of Washington County not having their votes counted at all, Maine's state Republican Party chairman, his line on that is that it's, quote, inconceivable that Washington County could have any effect on his declaration that Mitt Romney won the state of Maine. But it doesn't look like Mitt Romney won the state of Maine. It doesn't look like somebody else won it either at this point. But the idea that Maine Republicans went and voted and had their votes counted and now we have a result, that is not the case. The results are not in. And Maine Republicans, at least some of them, are mad about it. We are trying to get one of the Republican county chairmen on this show tomorrow night for the interview. It's a little hard to get a camera up there, but we're working on it. In the meantime, after 3 straight losses heading into Maine, knowing that another Mitt Romney loss in Maine would have dramatically affected the narrative of 2012 politics for the whole country right now, the rest of us looking at this, the rest of us are left to look at this disaster the Maine Republican Party has pulled off, and we're left to wonder if this was rigged, if this was just a fiasco, and we're left to wonder how long they are going to wait before they actually sort this out.
Oh, the people of Maine that are involved in that. What's wrong with you? Really, what's wrong with you? I mean, how could you do that? You know, and Romney, you got more money than most Americans can even imagine, and you're cheating? And if you're involved with it, how shameful that you're going to go into a presidency, attempt to go into a presidency based on a lie. But you know what? It's nothing new because the current president is there based on a lie and the president before. So I guess it's par for the course. If you're a liar, that makes you eligible to be the president. Oh, what a slippery, slippery slope. But you know what? Things like this, when they come out, they only hurt the reputation of the person involved, and that would be Romney and his campaign, and now Maine. I hope the people of Maine are upset. I hope you're upset because of how your caucuses in your state are being run. They're making your state really look stupid, like a bunch of people that have no morals. All right, next story here. Big Sis admits U.S. does not face terror threat from Iran or Hezbollah. Despite all the hype drummed up by the establishment media and about a scary Iranian or Hezbollah attack on soft targets in the United States, the Department of Homeland Security has admitted there is no specific threat facing the country. House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Pete King fretted over a Hezbollah attack on the fatherland, specifically synagogues, but DHS boss Napolitano was obliged to admit no such threat exists. She said, however, there are a threat that bears watching. Big Sis told King and his colleagues DHS and partners like the FBI are constantly monitoring Hezbollah's activities around the world. So there you go, right off the bat, there's no such threats. The media is propping things up a lot more than they need to. Pay attention to these stories, folks, because these are the stories that go unnoticed at times. And last thing I want to play for you is something, so I figured you'd probably want to smack yourself upside the head a couple times today. So I'm going to play this video for you. So as this woman is going about lying and you understand she's lying, you can bang your head on the wall a couple times and feel like an American, because that's what seems to happen when these events go on. People get up and lie. We can all watch them lie, and it's just ridiculous. So here we go. Get to watch this. This is more corporate disgrace and government screw-ups. Here we go.
Mr. Chairman, Inspector Coleman, you're the Inspector General for the Federal Reserve, right? Okay.
That's correct.
Have you done any investigations concerning the Federal Reserve's role in deciding not to save Lehman Brothers, which led to shockwaves that went through the entire financial system?
In that particular area, I don't generally comment on specific investigations, but we do not currently have an investigation in that particular area.
All right. What about the $1 trillion plus in expansion of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet since last September? Have you conducted any investigations regarding that?
Right now we have a, we call it a review, and I don't know if the term investigation may have different connotations. So we're actually conducting a fairly high-level review of the various lending facilities collectively, which would include the TALF, a variety of the different programs that are in process. So we're looking at them at a fairly high level to identify risk.
Well, I understand that, but we're talking about events that started unfolding 8 months ago. Have you reached any conclusions about the Fed expanding its balance sheet by over $1 trillion since last September?
We have not yet reached any conclusions.
Do you know who received that money?
For the... We're in the process right now of doing our review, and...
Right, but you're the Inspector General. My question to you specifically is, do you know who received that $1 trillion plus that the Fed extended and put on its balance sheet since last September? Do you know the identity of the recipients?
I do not know. We have not looked at that specific area at this particular point on those reviews.
What about Bloomberg's report that there are trillions of dollars in off-balance sheets transactions that the Federal Reserve has entered into since last September? Are you familiar with those off-balance sheet transactions?
I think it may be important at this point, too, just to bring up a certain aspect related to our jurisdiction. And just to clarify perhaps some of my earlier comments. We are the Inspector General for the Board of Governors, and we have direct oversight over board programs and operations, and are also able to look at board-delegated functions to the reserve banks, as well as the board's oversight and supervision of the reserve banks. We do not have jurisdiction to directly go out and audit reserve bank activities specifically. Nevertheless, in our lending facilities project, for example, we are looking at the board's oversight over the program, and to the extent that extends out to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
Well, I have a copy of the Inspector General Act here in front of me, and it says, among other things, that it's your responsibility to conduct and supervise audits and investigations relating to the programs and operations of your agency.
That's correct.
So I'm asking you if your agency has, in fact, according to Bloomberg, extended $9 trillion in credit, which, by the way, works out to $30,000 for every single man, woman, and child in this country. I'd like to know If you're not responsible for investigating that, who is?
No, we have responsibility for the Federal Reserve's programs and operations, audits, to conduct audits and investigations in that area. In terms of who's responsible for investigating, would you mind repeating the question one more time?
What have you done to investigate the off-balance sheet transactions conducted by the Federal Reserve, which, according to Bloomberg, now total $9 trillion in the last 8 months?
I'll have to look specifically at that Bloomberg article. I'm not, I don't know if I have actually seen that particular one.
That's not the point. The question is, have you done any investigation or auditing of off-balance sheet transactions conducted by the Federal Reserve?
At this point, we're conducting our lending facility project at a fairly high level and have not gotten to a specific level of detail to really be in a position to respond to your question.
Have you conducted any investigation or auditing of the losses that the Federal Reserve has experienced on its lending since last September?
We're still in the process of conducting that review. Until we actually, go out and gather the information, I'm not in a position to really respond to the specific question.
So are you telling me that nobody at the Federal Reserve is keeping track on a regular basis of the losses that it incurs on what is now a $2 trillion portfolio?
I don't know if you're telling me that you're mentioning that there's losses. I'm just saying that we're not, until we actually look at the program and have the information, we are not in a position to say whether there are losses or to respond in any other way to that particular.
Mr. Chairman, my time is up, but I have to tell you honestly, I am shocked to find out that nobody at the Federal Reserve, including the Inspector General, is keeping track of this.
All right. How frustrating was that, right? You just kind of bang your head on the wall. It's like, Inspector General, no knowledge, but they're doing a high-level review. So we can expect that whenever the government gets involved or agencies like the Federal Reserve get involved in high-level reviews, nothing is going to be accomplished because they're just a group of greedy, apparent liars that don't want to take any responsibility for anything. That's why there's a problem in this country, because those people like that exist. People that are willing to lie, cheat, and steal to the American people, that's why there's problems. Those people shouldn't be in power. How they got in power, I don't know. They shouldn't be in power. They need to be replaced with people of integrity. Will that ever happen? I don't know. Certainly not if we expect that the humans in charge are going to do it, because not having a lot of confidence with the Earthlings these days. But we'll see. Stranger things have happened. All right, moving right along. Let's jump to a meditation here. Close things out for today. All right, I would like you to imagine that you are seated in a movie theater and watching a movie. And up on the screen, it's the movie that you know very well because it is a movie of your life. And as you watch the movie of your life, you begin to understand things about your life that you didn't really understand because now you're looking at it from an outside perspective. As you watch the movie of your life, you understand that it's an interactive movie that unfolds with your faith and belief. And as you believe things are going to unfold in good ways, the movie becomes very pleasurable, fun to watch. You realize that the challenges and problems that the characters in the movies have are all the challenges and the problems that you are facing on a daily basis. And there they are being played out for you on the screen. And as you watch and learn, you find that there are ways to fix the problems. You realize how to overcome the challenges. And as you do, movie comes to an end in a very positive way, and you leave the theater feeling encouraged and energized because of all the lessons you've just learned, looking at your life from an outside perspective. And as you're walking home from the theater, just imagine all of your chakras are activated. Starting with the chakra at the bottom of your spine, the color is red, and then the energy raises up to the chakra above it. Right at the belly button, imagine orange. And then continuing up higher, just below the rib cage, imagine the color yellow. From there to the heart space, imagine the color green. At the throat, the color is blue. Between the two eyes, the color is violet. And finally, the top of the head, crown chakra, indigo. All your chakras are activated. Energy is interacting with your body, and you are consciously interacting with it. Let's think a good thought for everyone around the planet now. Send love out to everyone around the planet, wishing a good day for everyone, and with that, we'll bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. There you have it. That's our show, our prayer and meditation. Thanks for being here today. It's a pleasure as always. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Be safe. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.